Hey guys, welcome back to Puck Talk. For today's episode, we are yet again continuing our mini-series where we talk about every team in the NHL. For this episode, we are going to be talking about the Edmonton Oilers, who are ranked 17th in the league. And of course, joining us back again is our friend Ali here.
Yep. Hey guys, what's up?
All right, Dak, you want to take it?
Yeah, so like usual, again, we're going to discuss some categories for the Edmonton Oilers. The categories are best player this season. We're going to decide on that. And the status of the team in terms of rebuilding, contending, that kind of thing. And where we think they will finish by the end of the season. And the fourth category is a deadline trade they could make. And the fifth category is the panic level amongst the fan base. So yeah, let's get to it. So let's look at the goalie stats first right now.
Campbell is having his worst season
Yeah.
ever. He is underperforming straight up.
I mean,
I hate
yeah, go ahead.
I hate to say it, but with that Edmonton defense, especially when Tyson Barrie, Cody CC are on your team, your goalie can never perform well. And
That's
Campbell's always been
true.
Campbell's always been an emotional goalie. Even when he was with the Leafs, when he's down, he's way down.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the doesn't have the strong mentality to recover from a bad goal or a bad play. So Edmonton, it's just constant, like you let in a goal, the fans are vultures picking at your like guts every time you
Like
do something.
I've seen some goals against Campbell. I'm just like, he got a little bit of it, but still went in. Like that's demoralizing as a goalie, just in general. And knowing him, he can't really recover too well from that.
I'm just
Like
saying he got paid based on 1 month and one playoff series.
To be fair,
That's
he
all he
is a
got
goalie
paid
that
for.
averages above 90.
Last season he was horrendous. Like he was good for the month of November, October. I remember there was like 1 month where he was unreal, where they're like he should win the Vezina and stuff, and then he fell right off.
Yeah, he
yeah,
started playing a little worse, but like this season compared to any other season that he's had, like from my memory, especially with Toronto, is like way down there.
yeah.
It
I mean,
doesn't help with the Edmonton defense either, of course.
I believe after November, him and Peter Mrazek had the lowest goals saved above expected in the entire league. And that's
Yeah.
like a fancy stat. Just that means that he faced a lot of low danger shots and he let those shots in. So that's something really concerning when you see in a goaltender, and the Leafs had to outscore their problems. So I mean, Edmonton, like Ken Holland as a GM is someone I personally don't care for that much. And as a GM, he should have seen this coming because he's got a professional NHL job and he needs to be informed on his players.
I think Campbell signed in the wrong place. I think that's like the guy. He's like an emotional guy, right? I don't think he should have signed with the Canadian team.
Yeah.
I don't think that he can take the Canadian media at all. I think if he signed anywhere, he'd get picked apart. I think an American team would have been better for him.
Yeah, like you see how Freddie Anderson signed with Carolina and he had a resurgence.
Yeah.
His stats really bounced back, and Campbell, like, Carolina is a perfect place to go right now with their system if you want to bounce back. And
Yeah.
Freddie Anderson, I think he's gonna get paid after this year.
Yeah. Well, I think people might have caught on to like the stats that Carolina goalies produce now after looking at Mrazek and then Nedeljkovic. Hopefully they've learned. I hope nobody pays him like 8 million. I don't think he's that good of a goalie. I
No,
think it's the
no,
Carolina system again.
No,
no.
People will overpay, you think?
they probably will, honestly. Like,
Okay.
because let's be honest, a lot of like most GMs love to look at what they're doing and how they're producing right then and now and decide to sign them for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely happens. But like, yeah, in my personal opinion, you should never pay a goalie over $5 million unless it's a Vasilevsky, Saros, or Shesterkin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then so that's Campbell. And then Skinner's doing pretty good. I don't think we would waste too much time on him right now.
He's
He's
playing. He's
He's
playing
that's pretty good for Edmonton
pretty
defense.
good stats.
Yeah.
Just the win loss is like it's
That's
pretty
kind of odd though. Like I thought Oilers could outscore the problems. I thought if the goalie played good on the Oilers, they would get the win, but apparently not. But yeah, I think Skinner's doing amazing.
Yeah.
considering the
Yeah.
team in front of him.
The cards that have been dealt to him are pretty bad, and he's a Calder nomination for sure. At this point in the season, like 914, 26 games played in Edmonton. Nonetheless, that's crazy. Like that's a really good stat line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then let's move on to the forwards and the Connor McDavid
Oh
show.
wow! Look,
Yeah.
oh wow! Oh
What a
McDavid,
surprise!
77
What a
points.
surprise!
Oh wow! Leading the team.
Man is almost at 2 points per game. There is no way.
He like he is the guy in the league. He is a god right now.
Yeah.
He has a goal right now, so he has 78 and 43. If he gets another point, yeah, he's gonna have 79, and then he's gonna reach a point per game pretty soon, and that's with half the season gone only.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it. It seems like the game's on easy mode for him right now. He has 34 goals. I don't know. We don't talk about that enough. He's leading every single points category or offensive category this season.
As honestly, just like be him just trying to play out of his mind. Also trying to will his team into the playoff picture right now because they're just under it.
Yeah. And then the rest of the forwards are doing it. I think it's pretty much as somebody would expect.
Yeah, Draisaitl being number 2.
Yeah.
How I've completely Ryan Nugent-Hopkins playing like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
I think he's overperforming a bit. He's over a point per game. I'll say that. I think he's
This shooting percentage is super inflated because of power play and
yeah.
scoring like crazy because he's running shotgun with those guys.
Yeah.
Like before this season, Nugent Hopkins is what, a second liner at best. This year he's going crazy over, I think, like 2 points over a point per game or something like that.
He's 48 points, 42 games.
Yeah, so he's like 6 points over point per game. So I think he's gonna fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think he should finish with 82 points, 83 points, something like that.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed with how well the Hyman and Kane signings went for the Oilers. It's actually impressive how quickly those two guys gelled. Like Hyman is over a point per game right now too, and Kane would have been if he didn't get injured.
Like Kane is he's a skill guy, so I don't see that deal aging too badly. But Hyman, he's a gritty, like get in your corners, get in your face type of guy. And I don't know how long that play style will last as age continues to imprint upon him. So yeah, I mean
I
that's
think if they keep him with McDavid, it's gonna last forever. They will just use him to make Hyman look good.
I guess so, but like I know everybody considered McDavid like this phenom, right?
Yeah.
Like, but he's great. Like, don't get me wrong, he's amazing at getting those points that his team needs. But imagine if he actually backchecked sometimes, with that speed, he could definitely make a difference on the ice.
I think he's gotten better at it, but like he can be better considering his skill.
Yeah. He is arguably in my head the embodiment of will just try to outscore you by himself.
He's not as bad as JT Miller, so
he's the better JT Miller.
Yeah, so he's not a bad defense.
Yeah, like McDavid, he's like if he scored maybe like put like 60-70% effort into scoring and 30% into defense, that defense on the Oilers is gonna go like swing upwards because right now I guess he's focusing all on offense, and the Oilers' downfall has been their lackluster defensive play, and it's just been like an abomination to watch.
Yeah, but like you're also paying Nurse 9 million, so the actual defense is not helping out much either.
Nurse basically thinks he's McDavid, but he doesn't have the numbers to prove that. He's just out there.
Yeah, so that's the Edmonton stats. So now let's move on to the best player this season. I don't think there's
Connor McDavid. Wow,
yeah,
can we move on? Wow.
Yeah, okay. So let's just get through that quickly. And the status. I think they'd like to be cup contenders, but I think
they as a team feel like their identity should be a top 10, top 8 team. But as of right now, they are a playoff hopeful, which is a little bit disappointing considering last season. But like
at this point, I would say they could grab a wild card spot, but they could just as easily miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
So and that's crazy. That's crazy to say, especially with the historic numbers McDavid is putting up. Like that's that's frankly embarrassing because that should not happen.
I
I
think
think
we
if
would
they
just
missed
sell that
it,
as a playoff hopeful, right? Like
yeah,
no,
that's
they are definitely like a top 10, top 8 caliber team. Somewhere around there. They should be in the playoff picture right now, but they are in this place where they're literally just out of it right now.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just a playoff hopeful because like it's a really weird area. We don't know if they go up or they go down at this point.
I
it's
mean,
kind of disappointing.
Alberta teams as a whole have been the definition of mid. Like they're just out there. Like they're just like in the middle of the pack. Like both of them have been like pretty disappointing to say at least.
I think if Kane would then get injured, the Edmonton Oilers would be better off because Kane would have put up 50 points maybe by now.
He would just produce. He would be able to produce.
Yeah, but injuries happen. You kind of have to deal with those as a team. Every team goes through them. I don't
You
think that's an
gotta
excuse.
you gotta think though, like how long do you outscore your problems? How long will that last? Like last year, the Toronto Maple Leafs had the worst goalie tandem in the league, and
Yeah,
they were outscoring their problems. But when they ran into Tampa, they couldn't because Vazzy was a brick wall in the games that mattered, and they were out. And Jack Campbell was subpar at best. I mean, Vasilevsky wasn't good, but he was great in the moments that mattered. Like that game seven was crazy, and like Edmonton last year, they had Mike Smith, who was
Yeah,
for
love that
yeah.
guy.
outside of the blunders, he was doing pretty well. Like
Mhm.
he had a 9-3-1 to end like the season, and in the playoffs he was fairly decent. That's why they got to Colorado.
I wish we could
But after
show people that watches the picture of him like being all the way on his bench while the other team was like on a breakout or something.
yeah,
That was a great
like
picture.
it's I mean, you guys remember the Calgary goal from like the blue like the blue
I
hockey side.
laughed so hard when I saw that.
Like yeah, they still won that game, but like yeah, Mike Smith has those little moments, those little spasms of mediocrity and straight up
He does a
garbage.
little bit of throwing, we will say.
Yeah, that's true.
He does, yeah.
All
And
right.
Yeah,
then
he was great for them. I just don't see Camp. Maybe Skinner can step up in that role for them, but yeah, their $5 million backup won't be doing that.
they gotta do something about him. You can't have 5 million for the next like 5 seasons sitting on the bench.
Mhm.
You gotta like I'd say at this point send him to the AHL so until he regains form. Like Rodrigue in the AHL is doing fairly well. I think they could call him up and run a Skinner and Rodrigue tandem. Can't be worse right now than it is, right?
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
surprised they had no third string this year yet. And okay, so the status is playoff hopeful, and let's go on to where we think they will finish, which is
At the pace that they're going right now, they're roughly looking at a top 18 to top 15 to 14th area at best.
I think they just go first or second wild card. Like
I yeah.
I don't think they
Yeah.
grab a divisional spot, especially not with Seattle, LA, and Vegas. Like LA is really hot right now. Seattle's been a surprising team as well, and Vegas is really good.
Yeah, I think the 14 to 18 is a fair thing to say. I don't think I'm kind of a believer in McDavid because I feel bad for this man having to carry the Oilers on his back, but like I think he'll roll them all up to 14th.
Mm,
Yeah, that's we could just say that then.
14 to 18.
I yeah, like 14 something like that.
And then the deadline trade they can make. This is kind of weird because it kind of depends on where they are. Actually, I don't think they can sell. There's no way they can. Even if they're out of playoffs, you cannot sell with Connor McDavid on your team.
All in for Jacob Chychrun. Trade Broberg and your first this year and another first if you have to get Chychrun. He can actually play defense while providing. He's what Nurse thought. He's what Nurse is supposed to be, and
Yeah,
he's on a controlled cap
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, I was gonna point out on how Edmonton needs to find a way to get a defender. And yeah, like Ali said, that might be a great play for
Like,
them.
don't fall into the Joel Edmondson trap.
yeah,
Montreal did the same thing with Sherratt last year, so stay away from him. Like you saw what happened to Florida. They paid assets for Sherratt and they completely imploded. So try to get a defenseman that can actually stay past the last 20 games of the season.
yeah. I think getting Chychrun could offset the cap of Nurse if that may kind of make sense, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I
I mean,
think
they got Kulak last year, and he's solid. He signed a decent cap hit, but he's a bottom four defender. You need somebody who's a game changer. Like McDavid is up front. You need somebody who can make those plays to stop the goals from happening.
Yeah. I think so Chychrun for a Broberg / picks package sounds fair.
Yeah.
And then the panic level. I think it is high.
You're
Very,
panicking.
very high. Very, very
You
high.
are. If you're in Edmonton, you are literally shaking right now.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a pressure cooker situation. Like it's like yeah, you got to do something now before some things like get out of hand because you're holding a second wildcard spot, and if it gets worse, and it can get worse, you don't want to be around for that because St. Louis has the exact same record as Edmonton, and they can take that spot right away from them. So
Yeah.
you don't want to be around for that.
Okay, like if you miss the playoffs, does McDavid request a trade?
He doesn't request a trade, but
He doesn't
if you
request,
miss
but
the,
you know he's gonna be very unhappy.
he's like his deal is what 4 years long, 3 years long.
As of
McDavid
right now, I
is,
think he has another 3. It was 3.
he has 1, 2, 3. He has 3 seasons after this.
Yeah, so after this season, he's gonna have 2 on his deal. And what makes you think that he won't just get that 17-18 million dollar deal right off free agency?
And also Draisaitl has 1 more year after this.
Yeah,
Wow.
So that could get interesting. Even if he does decide to stay, he's not going to be there for 8.5 million anymore. He's going to ask for 11 or 12 million. So that could get tricky. I think you have to win now in these 2 seasons when he's on. Draisaitl is only making 8.5 billion. That's a steal of a
Yeah.
contract.
They just
I
have
mean,
to capitalize
yeah.
on what they have right now in order for them to actually have a chance to keep those players.
Yeah. I mean,
Edmonton is not immune to these mistakes though. Like Broberg at first was a defensive pick, right? But it wasn't the best pick they could have made. And I feel like this is a culmination of just bad moves by Ken Holland as a GM because he's frankly been kind of underwhelming, especially with the talent he got to start. Like McDavid, Draisaitl, top two players, arguably. So there should have been more done. Like you made a conference finals 1 year out of how many when others you've been swept and just destroyed.
yeah. So I think panic level is definitely high. And any closing thoughts we got on the Oilers?
They're just in a really tough spot this season. Like they had like pretty high expectations going into the season of them because of how they did in playoffs. Now they're showing that they're struggling to even
Like
make it into the picture.
I saw like on Twitter, I saw these takes where people were like, "Oh, Oilers for Cup final." Like the multitude of these I saw, and I said, their defense is just not good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Call me LeBron because I said I did make these claims, but yeah, they've got to do something. If they can't do it this year, they've got to do something for next year because you can't keep going like this.
Yeah. You can't waste McDavid. Like this is probably, I guess I'd give him a couple more years to his prime, but it
I
doesn't get
think
better
that
than
like as a stat line though, this is like it's just like how his stats are looking. This is like probably going to be one of his best seasons of his career.
I mean,
Like
yeah, you can't
this
waste
year,
that.
next year, and the year after, those are the 3 years which you need to utilize. You need to capitalize on them, and you need to give him a team because McDavid, like, he's never had like a proper winning like team around him. They're always questionable for playoffs. Like once they do make the playoffs, sure, they went deep, but like before that, like the uncertainty surrounding them is humongous.
I think if you don't win a cup in the next 3 seasons, McDavid is gone.
Yeah,
There's
Fair.
no shot he stays back here.
he's going to Toronto.
Yeah, I had Matthews.
Matthews can walk. Matthews can walk if McDavid comes. Okay, that's all I'm gonna
That's
say.
fair. That's honestly sounds pretty fair.
Yeah, but like, come on, Edmonton, you gotta give them a cup. You gotta get the man a cup. I
At
think
least,
he's the type of player that if he gets this cup, he'll stay loyal to the franchise.
yeah. I mean, even I feel like if he even gets consistent playoffs, he is gonna stay. Like if he doesn't get that, then like if like he's been on this team for what 8 years now, and they've like won one time in 2017 against Anaheim in the first round, and they've won 4 series in total, and they've barely made playoffs in those intervals. So yeah, you gotta show that you want to keep them around. You're serious for contending.
Yeah, I the GM has to do better in Edmonton.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
definitely.
Yeah, and so that's about it for the Oilers, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Hopefully, McDavid gets a cup before he leaves.
Hopefully not. Edmonton fans are quite annoying.
All right, Edmonton fans. I hope that. Honestly, I don't know how I feel. Oh well. Good luck.
Good luck, guys.